Hey everyone, it's Luke here from Astro Awakening with an energy update. There's a lot of shifts happening at the moment. I don't know if you can feel that. It's a strange, eerie sort of time of the year, and it's going to get a little eerier, if you like. I'll break this down as we go through. But firstly, we've just had Pluto. It's been retrograde for about 5 months or so, and it's just stationed direct in Capricorn at 20 degrees. Where it's going to slowly move forward again, and come early January next year it will meet finally with Saturn, the Sun and Mercury at around about 22 degrees of Capricorn, late 22 degrees of Capricorn, on around the 13th of January Melbourne time. The other thing is Mercury, the messenger of the gods, the mind, the intellect, the thoughts, communications, that's just moved into Scorpio. Scorpio is a sign of intensity. It's also the sign of sexuality and transformation. And we've got Mars later today moving from Virgo finally and catching up with the others that are hanging out in Libra. And Mars, if you know, Mars rules Aries, and Aries is the sign opposite Libra. So Mars in Libra is not too functional, and we'll break that down as well. Firstly, let's back up, if you like, back to Pluto. Pluto is the sign, or the planet, sorry, Pluto is the planet of deep-driven transformation. Now, it usually comes about through crisis because we've attached to a way of being, an emotional set of patterns of behaviors that are entrenched into our subconscious. And what they do is they keep us stuck in a place, operating in a conceptual reality that limits us, if you like. So the job of the outer planets is to transform the conceptual reality. Wherever we sort of harden and break reality into, like, that's we define it, the outer planets will come through and transform that and set new ground to create a new reality. Pluto is the slowest moving outer planet, so its change happens over a long period of time, and it tends to slowly but surely intensify emotions. And what it will do is it will turn us inwards, so we get very reflective and introspective with Plutonic energy, but emotionally driven. And through the process of purging these unwanted and outmoded dysfunctional patterns of behavior and subconscious patterns that have been instilled in us from an early age, and even possibly into previous lifetimes, that tends to bubble under the surface, and we'll be going through our lives, and these energies will be bubbling away under surface, so pulling us deeper and darker and inside, until such time as, you know, there's some sort of release of that energy. And through the release of that energy usually is some sort of crisis. That through the crisis process, we are forced to transform, to change, to go from the to rise from our ashes, like the phoenix rising from its ashes. Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is structure. It's authority. It's the rules. It's governance. It's big business. It's all of the structures of society that we operate within. It's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn's also in Capricorn at the moment. And when Pluto's going through there, these types of institutions, so rules, laws, governance, political systems, banking systems, corporations, are going through some deep structural transformations. Now, when Pluto and Saturn finally line up in the sky next January, it's a beginning of a new 34-year cycle for those two. Now, the midway point of their last cycle happened right on September 11, 2001. So the structures now are being reformed, reshaped, replaced, but before that can be done, they have to be broken down. And Pluto's job is to break them down. And we're seeing that now in society. If you look out and you look at the state of affairs and the political landscape, here and abroad, in Europe, in America, and closer to home, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of disharmony, there's a lot of fucking shit going on that you can see that, there's things that are bubbling below the surface, and it's just waiting for some type of sort of crisis, whether that be an economic one, whether it be a war, whether it be some environmental crisis, to collapse these systems so that new ones can be formed. And I firmly think that that's the sort of territory we're heading towards coming into 2020 and beyond. So, you know, and you can then bring that back to a micro scale, you know, macrocosm, microcosm, and that's happening in our own lives. Our own lives are being reshaped, reformed, the own limits that we've set up, the own authority, our own fear-based operational systems are being, you know, purged and transformed. It's not an easy process. Pluto is probably the most difficult planet to work with out of all of the planets, because it's coming from a dark area of our subconscious that we don't usually have conscious awareness of, and the transformation that takes place usually leaves us completely different than what we were before. So the key through these times is to stay as grounded as you can, and to try not to let your mind take you to places that it doesn't need to. Stay in the present moment, and see change as a necessity as well. Don't be attached to a way of being. Don't be attached to anything rigidly, because that attachment is what's creating the holding of the plutonic pressure. And the more attached you are, the more you're holding that plutonic pressure, the more likely it's going to bust and blow open like a volcano. So Mercury's moved into Scorpio. Mercury is the mind and the intellect. Now, Mercury is the messenger of the gods, but it's a hermaphrodite. And that basically means androgynous. You know, it's not male or female. It can take on the characteristics of whatever masculinity or femininity that it enters into. So at the moment, it's heading into Scorpio. So what that basically means is our mind, right? We can think good thoughts, we can think bad thoughts, we can think dark thoughts, we can think light thoughts, we can think happy thoughts, we can think sad thoughts, we can think love thoughts, we can think hate thoughts. It doesn't, our mind will be directed wherever we want it to go. It doesn't sort of associate or, you know, like Venus is feminine. It's love, it's beauty, it's harmony, it's art, it's all of the creative side of things. And Mars is masculine, it's projective, it's warrior, it's driven. It's like, I am going to do this, right? So you can see that those two there is a definite association with a polarity of masculine and feminine. Whereas the mind just goes where it's directed, or where, you know, it wants to if it's not directed. So it sort of will take the characteristics of whatever energy that it's associating with. And at the moment it's heading into Scorpio, and Scorpio is a fixed water sign, and that fixed water sign creates emotions. Emotions are water, all the water elements rule emotions. Fixed means that it's the intense ability to hold and fixate on one type of emotion, and we can go deep into the dark places of that emotion. It becomes quite a powerful force, but it can become quite an obsessive type force where, you know, we obsess over things. We get paranoid as well because we're going into really obsessive, dark sort of places. The mind gets quite penetrating, you know, where we can focus really intensely on one type of thing. So that's useful if we have some sort of task where we've got to be quite resourceful, and we've got to use you know, a lot of our depth skills to go in and find out, like, you know, research or to investigate those types of things. But if it's used in its bad side, then we can get quite obsessive, quite dominated. We can then try to seek dominating other people as well. We might try and dominate them with our mind or manipulate them. Scorpion energy can be quite secretive and a bit, you know, sinister. What's interesting about Mercury entering into Scorpio is it's about to set the stage for the next 2.5 month period. Mercury will retrograde right at the end of October. Now here in the Southern Hemisphere in Melbourne, it'll do it just in the wee hours of the 1st of November. However, mostly around the world, it's going to do it on October 31st. October 31st is Halloween. So, you know, there's that, ooh, spooky element to it, right? Spooky Scorpio. However, come the 12th of October, Mercury will enter into its shadow. So from the 12th of October until the 8th of December, Mercury will not move out of that part of the sky. It's going to go forward, retrograde back to that point, and then go forward again. So that whole period of time, it's going to be stuck between It's at 11 and 27 degrees of Scorpio. So Scorpion energy is getting this whole intense. Now, when it's retrograde, we know that things can go astray, communications, it's not good time to be making really decisions that are going to have lasting effect. You want to make sure that you're really clear on what it is that you want. You have a tendencies to change mind. And, I think, that's going to create some, uncertainty and some cloudiness and some fogginess and some non-clarity, and I think we just have to ground ourselves down. Globally, politically, I think hold on and all bets are off. I think shit's gonna just get really crazy before it gets really, really scary, and we've got to detach from this political landscape at the moment and see it for what it is. Just a whole bunch of fucking clowns trying to claim power and greed and control over us. And we can buy into it and be like, oh my God, he said this, or he did that, or he didn't, or he or she, or whatever. And it's like we're just being pulled into that obsessed, intense energy, and we can detach from it is probably the best way at the moment. Just detach from that shit. Don't buy into it. It's a fucking game. And we're the pawns in it, so detach from that process. Mars is just about to go into Libra. Mars does not like Libra. It rules Aries, and Aries is the sign opposite Libra. In Aries, Mars can just express and dominate and assert its will. It doesn't care. It just does it. I'm doing it. And if you've ever met an Arian, they're the doers. They just do things. Don't really care too much how that's going to impact other people. Mars in Libra cares too much how it's going to impact other people. So there tends to be a little bit of like, is it okay if I do this? Should I do this? And sometimes the thought process is ahead and it's like, well, this might upset things, so I won't do anything. You can become a little bit impotent, a little bit lacking in desire and motivation. It is a really good time to be putting energy and action and motivation towards, things that are trying to seek balance within relations, social relations. I put a video up the other day and it's basically was go and do something nice for someone. That's the best way to use Mars in Libra is to pay it forward. Just for no egos or self-centered desire and motivation of yourself, go and do something nice for someone else. Repeatedly, over and over again. Actually try and fill your day doing nice things for other people. It's a really nice way to use Mars in Libra. And so this is the energetic shifts that we're having right now, that we're experiencing now. They're setting the stage for the next 2.5 month period into Christmas. It's going to get really strange, really like what people are going to be brought to a point where they're just like, for their own lives and also for the larger, humanity, what the fuck is going on in the world? Already when energy shifts in a weird way, I get people that are like, reaching out saying, man, what's going on? What's going on? That's going to intensify. That level of uncertainty and also like dumbfoundedness where you just, what is going on? I mean, you've got to detach from that and just fucking laugh at it a bit and laugh at yourself. Don't take things too seriously, like Mercury and Scorpio can get really fucking serious, and it's like, don't buy into that shit. Just everything's good. You're where you're supposed to be. Whatever change and transformation is happening, it's not, the universe isn't trying to transform you into fucking hell or into some sort of robot or into some sort of monster. It's trying to, enlighten you. It's trying to release consciousness. It's trying to detach you from a way of being, from materialistic things. It's trying to, bring you to source, bring you to light, bring you to love. Don't get your shit in the way of that. Let it be. Like the fucking Beatles said, let it be. Let it be, just... And that's probably the song of the next 2.5 months is let it be. Just let it be. The more you can attach, the more you're going to hang on, the more you're going to be like, no, or what, or brought into things and brought down, the more fucking hard time you're going to have. So at the moment, let it be. like I always say, be like a tree. Have some grounding, some good strong roots, but be flexible and go with the flow, you know? And don't be hard on yourselves. Mercury in Scorpio can be intense, and that can be introspective intention. And it's like, you can get fucking hard on yourselves. And we all know that we've got dreams and goals and aspirations, and we've got a vision of where we want to be, and we're not there. But we don't get there by being hard on ourselves because we're not there. That actually just creates resistance, and we never get there. So we just got to relax, let go of resistance. It's time for, doing your grounding, doing your meditations, doing your yoga, all of your spiritual practices. And, be kind to yourself, but be kind to each other as well. Monday, you're going to have, what do we got? Mercury is going to be opposite Uranus, and the Sun is going to square the nodes in Saturn. Monday is going to be, there's a level of anxiety to that. It can be exciting and insightful and inspirational. But because the Sun is going to be squaring the nodes and also Saturn, it's like what it's asking you to do is just make some changes. Just don't be stuck in your ways. And see those changes as necessary, even if it's at a level you don't want to. Just what, I'm just going to be the bigger person. I'm just going to make a change. I'm going to do something differently. I'm going to do something I normally wouldn't do. I'm going to do the opposite of what I would normally do. I'm just going to do something different and change things. If you're not, and you're stubborn and you're stuck, these energies can be like, oh fuck man, I'm really down, and I'm really no one's getting me, or this guy's annoying me, or that person at my work's doing this, or so just go with the flow, make some adjustments. Monday, definitely make some adjustments on that day. We're moving, what's Monday, will be the 7th or 8th or something like that. So, come next week, we're into the Mercury shadow period, and that's going to, normally Mercury will spend about 3 weeks in one sign. Mercury's going to spend nearly 2.5 months in only about, 15, 16 degrees of one sign. So it's going to be an intensification, and it's Scorpio. If you know a Scorpio, or if you know someone heavy in Scorpion energy, you can know how very intense they are. They're very intense people, very powerful people when that's channeled for good, very dark people when they're just obsessed and intensify things. So we're all going to be experiencing this, especially on a mental level. Mercury's the mind, right? Mercury's going to be hanging out in Scorpio for 2.5 months almost. That's a fair whack of Scorpion energy. But Scorpion, Mercury and Scorpio too, globally, like I said, worldwide, whatever you want to call this planisphere, plane, whatever we live on, it's going to get fucking crazy. It's going to get crazy. I'm going to tell you, shit's going to be fucking crazy. So, step back, laugh at that game, the game that's being played. Don't buy into it. Don't buy into the shit. Don't buy into that political propaganda. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. It's just to fuck your mind and take you to places you don't need to go. Everything's as it should be. You're all cool. The world's good. You're all good. See you next time.